Hello, everybody at home. There we go. Hi, I'm Nick. Nice to meet you. Well, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. We are recording this. However, we can always pause the recording at any point. I am going to also go ahead and put this in the coaching blog. So for those of you guys that are here and you want instant access to this later, we are going to go ahead and put this right in the coaching blog as well. And you guys at home, can you see my screen? I'm assuming so, because we can see it in here. All right, so we are live at home. We are live on Facebook. We're everywhere. So what we're going to do is, first of all, welcome in person. Our priority today is everyone that is here in person. So thank you guys for coming out on this rainy day. If you guys don't already know me, I'm Nick Liebert with EXIT Strategy Realty. I've been in the real estate business for 25 years. The first 10 years I was in the real estate business, I feel like one year I'd make $140,000. The next year I'd make $40,000. And I'm like, this is not a sustainable life for me. And I finally, after the first decade, got coaching. I got a good CRM and never looked back and never made less than a six-figure consistent income year after year after year, just on my real estate sales. I do happen to own EXIT Strategy Realty. However, everything that I teach here today, you can use at whatever company you're with. I may talk about some tools that we have. You may have some tools, that you like to use. I am not going to, I don't think, get into our CRM, but we are going to talk about database today extensively, because that is going to make or break your coming year. And I think we're all coming off of what we can agree was an interesting year. Who had their best year ever here? I mean, I think Kelly did, but Kelly was Kelly is her business is exploding. But for the rest of us, it was I think we were all in the struggle bus the end of last year. The end of 2022, I was very depressed, very sad about my business, because I brought my business to such a level that 2020, 2021, and the first half of 2022, it was at a new plateau. When I first got coaching, I plateaued at about 10 million. And then I went to a company called the Core Training, and the Core Training was amazing. Before that, I'd just done Buffini, and Buffini was great. But if you have a coach, I always ask, well, who are they being coached by? Who am I being coached by? So I'm coached by a program called the Core Training, and I'm a certified mentor in Brian Buffini. But the Core took me from 10 million to over 20 million while still running other things and, being an investor on the side and once in a while having a life. And so that was great. But then 2020, 2021 into 2022, I got into that like 23 million, like with one assistant. I'm like, this is amazing. And then to have my business go back so much and everyone else around me also kind of like, it's like a rubber band snapping back on you, right? So we really had to pivot. And I found that a lot of agents that I talked to didn't really even wake up until the second half of this year. Because what happened was they were putting things on credit cards. They were, kind of going on those leftover deals from before, the lucky deals. They're like, it'll get better. The interest rates are going to get better. And then we finally, I think, all realized this is not changing anytime soon. The bottom is not falling out. The short sales and foreclosures aren't coming back to save us like they did for some of us that were here in 2008, 9, and 10. And so we had to go back to, shockingly, the basics. But I did have a roadmap for this laid out in 2019. I'm not saying that I'm like the all-seeing eye, because then I would have not done some of the dumb stuff I did when I was younger. But I also will tell you, at home, they know some of these stories already. I will tell you that I was starting to talk about interest rates going up in the second half of 2019. And some of you have been here, long enough with me. Some of our agents have been here with me the whole 14 or 15 years I've been at EXIT. They remember me saying, this is not sustainable. And that was when they were at 4% before COVID. Obviously, none of us saw COVID coming, because I didn't even know what a pandemic was. But you have these historically low interest rates that we're not going to be able to go back to those interest rates. That's not going to happen. We're also not going to be able to go back to that level of ease. And so for the people that got into the business in 2020, 21, 22, I kind of feel bad for them more than us that have been around longer, because they really never got their system set up. And I'm not calling out anybody at home, or in here that got their license during that era, but it's you went from deal to deal in such a frenzy because of the way the market was so scarce that nobody's fundamentals were built up. And for those of us that had the fundamentals built up, I built my entire database during the market crash because I had nothing else to do. And so what I've tried to get everyone back on the same page with is take this as a blessing before the interest rates correct a little bit and go down to like 6 or 5%. And we're all going to be running back out in the field. But you have to take this moment to regroup and say, okay, let's restructure while we can. So my social media, my database, all of that infrastructure, I built in 2009, 10, and 11. You can literally go and look on my Twitter, and Facebook is all joined in, 2009, 2010. And yeah, that's when they started being around, but I literally built my entire business model around that influencer stuff before that was even a thing. So now what I'm looking at and going back to is, now, what did I stop doing as a quote unquote top agent? Because I was running from deal to deal too. So to get to that 23 million with a one part-time assistant, obviously something fell through the cracks, right? So we've all got to figure out what. So let's start with the market board here. And I'm going to go ahead and I think pin myself to the presentation. I hope that doesn't drive you guys nuts at home. So now you guys are stuck looking at my back at home. But then obviously if you guys have problems reading my serial killer handwriting as well, you can maybe redraw this at home. Does anybody need a pen? If you've got paper, digital's great as well. We're going to go into our digital business cards or digital business plans here in a little bit, but we'll also have paper for you as well. Hello, my friend. Do you want to grab that chair or another chair and take that around there? Just because we've got the camera running here. So guys, let's talk about it. What happened in the past couple of years? Number one, what systems do I need to refresh, restart, or just start from the top? So let's talk about our systems. We've got our CRM. I would like to think that we've got everybody in there with at least a first name, last name, email address, and phone number, right? Address, right? You can do direct mail. I'd like to know how many people are actually in that CRM. So in other words, the total number of people that are in that CRM. And then how are they grouped? So you've got obviously past clients, your VIPs. So some of you guys, this isn't new, right? You've got whatever farms you're doing or should be doing. So your farming areas. You've got your kind of like your general sphere, the people that really don't go into another category yet. And then you've got your specific audience that probably need to be dripped on, right? And who are they? Potential buyers. Potential sellers. And yes, potential renters. Who would turn down a renter right now? Nobody, right? If you've got Zenlist, it makes it a lot easier to be a rental agent. And let me tell you, in this office, now I don't know where he is right now, probably out doing exactly what we're going to be talking about. Josh Bergard is our top agent. Okay. I am not our top agent. Josh and I are both like right at the same level of production for the year. Josh is about $100,000 more earnings this year than me. Do you know why? Because Josh continued to do rentals and built out a little rental team around it. Someone else in here turned a bunch of them down, referred a bunch of them out because they were so busy. But my database is filled with past clients and current clients that were all renters back in the day, that I rented them their first place, their little studio apartment. 3950 North Lakeshore that both Mary and I have done a lot of business in over the years. That was like a feeder building for me. 655 West Irving Park was the first building I farmed. I also lived in there. And at one point I was the #1 agent. Right now I'm the number 2 agent in that building. So, and I haven't lived there since 2008. So all of this stuff I have road tested out that these are the categories you absolutely have to have. And if you don't have a what? Drip campaign for these folks, so that's going to be your next thing. I want to not only know the number, I want to know then, what do your drip campaigns look like? And obviously everyone at Exit Strategy is probably going, well, we just learned how to do those because we've got some new technology for them. And how many guys are using videos or screen records right now in your content? You're doing it? All right, you and me. Who else? A little bit. I follow most of you on social media. Don't lie to me. Okay, so we need to start figuring out, because what all this is going to be is, if you're sitting here going, I don't have any of this stuff, no worries, because you know what? So do a lot of other people. Or we haven't even been in our CRM in so long. So everybody at Exit Strategy, you've got Wise Agent. I don't know if you know it, but I can see, I can't see in your account, but I can see if you've logged in. I can see how many emails and texts you've sent this month. It's a really cool little report to be like, hey, are we alive out there? If you haven't logged into your CRM, no matter what company you're with, to even look at, see the numbers of these folks, we got a problem, right? So the drip campaigns, I want to know the number in the CRM, and the drip campaigns, I want to see the content. And obviously, if there's nothing there yet, we got to start doing it. Now, everybody here that's at our office, you've got the little Project X videos, the one that I sent out this morning. We always are trying to do a little content. I'm hoping you will just go ahead and redo that content on your own. If you want to use mine, I try to keep it generic to Exit Strategy. If you guys that are not Exit are like, what the heck's he talking about? My YouTube channel, I just posted 2 like content videos that are just screen records. You can do them in your pajamas. You don't have to get all dressed up for it. So I love content. I love short form and long form video. And that can include screen records. And why I like screen records, and that the ones that I intentionally did the last 2 days to kind of show you guys as a demo, what I like with screen records is you can do them at any time, because I'm finding the effort to get dolled up, go to a studio or create, you know, all this stuff in your house. It's kind of like next level. I'd love for us all to get there. I have big dreams that someday I'm just going to have like a content manager living in, you know, in one of our offices in the basement, because I can't afford to, you know, get him out of the house. But somewhere we will have some cool stuff for you guys. But until then, the screen records are so great because you don't have to be on camera, but people get to know you. Because what do we know about a drip campaign? It's going to only really be relevant for these potential folks. Because why would I do a drip campaign to my past clients? They already know me. They already know, hopefully, my value, right? I'm going to talk to them differently. That's why breaking these people up into these categories is so key. Because what I want us to start all doing this year is do what? Create more. And this is going to be at home. I don't know if you can see that at all. Value. And that's backwards. That's great. Is that, I wonder if that's backwards in real life. We'll see. Is that backwards? You think it's backwards?
It's not backwards.
It's not backwards. Okay, well, in the office they can see. Good. All right. Thank you guys at home. Like that would be a new low for me. Trying not to do 2 things at once. So, what is your value proposition? Your value proposition is going to now change. Here's what I did right, quote unquote, right, for a number of years. Everybody got the same thing. At least they got something. At least they got something. But now I want the value proposition to be tailored. Tailored value proposition. And I want it to be unique. So tailored UVP. Because my sellers, or my owners, I should say, my owners of property, I have a totally different conversation for them. So you guys at our office, you know, we did that tax portal earlier this year, and then we just revamped it a little bit. So it's a little bit easier to use. That is a great conversation for my owners. I wouldn't send that to a potential buyer, because they're going to be like, okay, well, I mean, I could, there is some value to buyers in it, but it really is meant for owners. Home maintenance tips, I'm not going to send that to my renters. That's kind of depressing. Like, here's all the things you could look forward to breaking. We don't want to do that. But what is my value proposition? What are my events? What are my events? I feel like I've turned the last 5 years, it's actually almost a decade, into an event planner. I'm not the best event planner. I mean, the pizza isn't even here yet, right? Or is it? It is here? Okay, well, see, I'm a great event planner. Events are so key, because here's the thing. It is not who shows up. It is the act of inviting them. I want you guys to get that back out of your head that it's who shows up, because it is the act of inviting. And I'm going to come up with one of my silly acronyms now, the AOI, because everybody's talking about AI. No offense, Marky, if you're on. I like events, and I like the act of inviting, because every time I invite people to something, something good happens out of that. And sometimes I find out what's going on in people's lives that they're not going to be at that event. And sometimes it's great, and sometimes it's sad. And right down to this business planning session, I had people that are like, I can't make it. I wanted to tell you something good, bad, ugly that's going on in my life. Family, occupation, recreation, dreams, the Ford conversation is what Core taught us. I'm going to teach you today that I want you to kind of flip that script a little bit. And I want that to now be health and wellness, because we have 4 key focus areas. And what are those 4 focus areas? Those of you at our office should know these. Health and wellness. Personal finance.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. The Project X.
Yes. You know you weren't gonna get out of here without hearing about that. Charity/community. And then obviously, last but not least, real estate. Because here's what. When I was doing my very general but pretty well thought out newsletters, it was one size fits all. And I still do as a baseline for you guys. I do an event a month that you guys can invite everybody to. So our event this month, no, you do not have the graphic yet. I know you're gonna be the first one to ask, because she's the best at getting the newsletter ready. But our event is on Wednesday, December 20th at 1 p.m. And it is going to be a 5-year plan for investing. And it's like just an overall, because what we're going to go over today in this agent business plan, there are portions of that would be really great for your clients, wouldn't it? Not the agent part, but the overall, like, what do I want to be in the next 5 years? How do I want to do stuff? Because you can throw a vision board party like we did on Wednesday night, which was amazing. But then it's like, that's the vision. How do I get there? What's my roadmap to get there? And so that kind of 4 key focus areas, the active inviting, that once a month event to have that AOI, that's going to then get you into those conversations. Yes, Kelly.
So what does UP stand for?
Oh, unique value proposition. Unique value proposition. Because the reason why I want it to be unique, it should be tailored to you. It should be tailored to you, because everyone's going to have a little bit of a different style, right? Everybody's got a little bit of a different value proposition. Some people, they're really good on the phone. Some people hate their phone. Some people like the text. What is your value? That has nothing to do really with that, but it's like your overall style. Everybody's style is different, but everybody in the world has some sort of interest in these areas, right? So if we've got our CRM up and running, and we've got our value proposition up and running, now what do we need to do? So we need to figure out, number 2, what went right and what went wrong. So if you are a new agent, you're going to go, well, I don't know what you're talking about because I'm new. Almost everybody, I think, in here or at home is going to be either feeling like they've already got some of this stuff down, but that they need something to work on, that they need to grow, right? If you're new, everything's going to feel like you need to grow. It's like kind of overwhelming. But we need to figure out the pluses and the minuses of our current business, and then also the growth opportunities. And how are we going to do that? We are going to source every deal. And what do I mean by that? Where'd your deals come from? Where did your deals this year come from? And quite frankly, where did the deals from 2022 and 2021 and 2020 come from? Because you know what? I have a sneaking suspicion, as a matter of fact, I know that most of us didn't go back and source our deals because we were so busy the last 3 years. And I have these not well written out business plans. And then I have people that, don't even have the business plan because they were like, I'm running to the next deal. This was so amazing. And so we were all in this kind of chaos that was great. But what happened was our business structure went backwards. our business structure went backwards. So I want you to source every deal all the way back to the beginning of 2020. And if you want to be really aggressive where you don't have a lot of deals over the years, maybe you're part-time, go all the way back to 2018. Because our numbers right now look like 2018. If you've been in the business a long time, so Mary, me, Jolynn, if she's at home 40 years, a couple of under, see, we've been around a while. In the last 25 years, my numbers in 2018 and 2019 look very similar to my numbers today. Am I happy with that?
No.
Not after I had 21 and 22 and 20. So what do we need to do? We need to figure out what we need to grow with. And so when I say growth opportunities, I want you to put this down. Mets versus haven't Mets. Because here's what we know. If your database is in the same condition that it was in 2018, 2019, or the beginning of 2020, who wants to buy right now? Let's be real. This is just for us, not for the consumers. It is a hard sell or buy. It is a hard buy. So if your database looks like it did in 2018 or 2019, here's what really concerns me. I don't even think you're going to be doing as good as you were then. Because why? The interest rates were what? 4.5. Now they're almost 8. That is a hard sell. So if you haven't cleaned this database up or grown it, what do we also know? From 5 years ago, people have died, not to be depressing, moved away, found a relative that's in the business, and terrible probably. So, but people are always actually, your database is shrinking. I've got a friend that I did not know he moved jobs. I didn't get a bounce back. And literally I'm sending him all this stuff. He's like, I haven't heard from you in a while. I'm like, oh, I haven't heard from you in a while. He wasn't even getting my emails anymore, my newsletters. Probably why I should be using our text stuff more often, right? So I think he unsubscribed to the text. He didn't like that because he was mad about all the different stuff he was getting. Kind of like we all hate the texting right now because it said, hey, Nick, do you want a free quote? No, I don't. No, I don't. I have EXIT Strategy has a policy. You got to pay for it, but it's like, leave me alone, lady. So whatever happens with you guys in terms of your old database, we have to go way on top of that, way on top of that. And that's where I wanted to refresh the business plans because I looked at the ones from last year, from the end of 2022, the ones that I did get from our agents. And here was the problem. We were running based on things will get better. And I'm an eternal optimist, but I also like have a dose of reality most days. As a realist, guess what? This is not the same. And it's not going to be the same. So I have to grow. And don't I want to grow anyway? Don't I want to do 30 million? So one of the best business books I've ever read for realtors is The Roadmap to a Profitable $30 Million Real Estate Business. The Roadmap to a Profitable $30 Million Real Estate Business. Rita Casey, I always give her primary credit. This video is never going to see the light of day. I always give her primary credit because Rick Ruby was my coach. I thought he was mean. So, and Rita was my other coach and she was super nice. So I liked her better. The two of them created the core coaching program. And the core coaching program focused almost entirely on Mets. And so for the last decade, I have focused almost entirely on Mets. I've taught you guys the classes on Habit Mets because not everybody's been in the business for 8 billion years and has a loyal database. I am blessed. However, I'm realizing as I went to the last 2 core summits, they're not changing, they're not growing. And people are dropping out of the program. And I'm like, how sad. And in the meantime, at Exit Strategy, I'm realizing that, you know what? Maybe Mary and I, maybe Shaughnessy, because she's been doing this for a good number of years, we can ride out on the Mets, but not really, not if we want to grow. And remember, what do we say? This isn't even 2018 or 2019. Your business, if it's in the same condition, may actually be way down because it's in the same vehicle as 2018 or 2019, because that's the same people you were talking to before. We all need to be focusing equally. 50% deeper. So you guys at my office know this, 50% deeper with the Mets. What do I mean by that? Tailored value proposition. And then for the Habit Mets, actually that arrow needs to be going where? Across, because that's going to be, I haven't met him yet. That's going to be wider. So let's go into because guess what? This is easy. I think the Mets, and correct me if I'm wrong, don't you guys think it's pretty easy to just go in deeper with the people you already know? just catch up and just think about, like, again, Taylor. Do I even have their birthday in my CRM? Am I actually acknowledging their birthday? What do they like to eat? Am I getting people that are 30 days sober, bottles of wine at their closing? Like, what's going on that I have not really looked at their Facebook or their LinkedIn and realized somebody had a job change? So you guys that are at my office know I always pick on Brent, my friend Brent, that his real name is William. So he showed up twice in my database and it drove us both nuts and blah, 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 all this stuff. Brent got a new job that starts on Monday. I didn't know that until it popped up on LinkedIn because he didn't want anybody to know. Probably didn't want his real estate agent / best friend to know, because I'm going to hit him up and be like, okay, now they're making the big time money. Yeah, but, and we will be doing that this year. It's going to be a great exercise. However, LinkedIn told me that he got a new job. And I texted him like, why didn't you tell the group chat that you had to tell him everything else? 18 memes for you, no notice of a new job. And he was like, I told you, a month ago that I was thinking about doing that, but they had to match my number up. And he's like, they beat my number. I'm like, yes, good for me too. I need to go deeper with these folks, but that's easy. LinkedIn celebrations is the best thing ever, because every morning I go in and looked at it, which is how I had that conversation with Brent yesterday. Easy stuff. What's not easy? This stuff. How do we grow the database further? And that's where you've got to make the decision. And this is not a time blocking or time boxing, as I call it, class. However, that's really going to go into the actual agent business plans when we get into them. We are going to break for everybody at home. We're going to break in a couple minutes after we get through the Habit Mets discussion for pizza. So before it gets cold, and then we will come back right over here. And literally you can eat your, and actually, if you guys want to, we can do that. Do you guys want to do that now? Or do you guys want to let me do a little bit more with the Habit Mets? You guys are not starving? You guys are good? Okay, you can microwave the pizza. We got a microwave here, right, Emily? I will not make you starve though. So I'm dangerous. You can get, don't give me a whiteboard. I could be up here all day. So Habit Mets. This is going to be the people that you need to meet. And guess what? In addition to it not being 2018 or 2019 anymore, how do people play and work now? Totally different. Totally different. I'm really struggling with this as a coach, as a business owner. We like physical locations because some people want to get together. Not everybody does. Not everybody wants to drive anymore. Not everybody has a car anymore. I'm like, man, you guys are just throwing me all these different scripts of new things. I just got my first EV and I'm like, well, I don't really want to drive to the Joliet office without a full charge on that sucker, because what if it breaks? So everybody's different than they were before. So how are you going to meet him? I don't want you hanging out only on Zooms. Although if you were on a Zoom, get everybody's information that was on there. If they've got the real name on the Zoom, we've got to figure out those strategically. Don't say I'm going to network. I want to know what, who, what, when, where, why. Oh, we don't even know why. Right? But you're gonna, and I think the how, though, the how is really the who, what, when, where. Here's why we're gonna do that, is because if you have a real business plan, not just like, I want to make more money. A real business plan has accountability in it. They've got action steps in it. And so when EXIT Corporate came out with these beautiful digital business plans that I begged them to make fillable with Adobe and all this stuff, they were nice enough to give me preview, and everybody hated me at EXIT Corporate all through August, September, all the way to convention, because I drove them nuts. Imagine that. Because I said, no, that's not what I want. I want this too. You have to add this. The last page in those business plans is a 12-month plan. You know why? Because if I say, oh, I'm going to do a farming campaign, you know what Nick Larber's going to ask you: who, what, when, where, how's it going to go? What are you going to send? I think probably next year, this thing will be even bigger than it is, because I think you need to break out, not only is there a marketing calendar, is there an event calendar, is there a budget, all of this different stuff, because I want to know how you're going to get a hold of these people, how you're going to meet these people, all of that stuff. You've got to be figuring out the Habit Mets. So we need our database to be, I would almost say, twice as big as it is now. Twice as big as it is now. So if you've got 500, you need 1,000. So I'm going to say your goal with item number 2 is to do what? 2x. I'm not, what's his name that does the 10x stuff?
Grant Cardone.
Grant Cardone. I'm not Grant Cardone. I do condone some of the activities of him, but not all of it. So we want to 2x that CRM. And for some people, just starting with turning it on. But we need to 2x whatever that database is. And I don't care if your database is in Google Contacts, if it's in a notebook, wherever it is, it needs to be double what it was before. And when I say double, I mean not just burner remind stuff that I teach you guys how to do. I mean really going back in and saying, okay, now that I've got some contact information, I'm going to do what? I'm going to use Forewarn, LinkedIn, to do what? Deepen once they're in there. So Forewarn and LinkedIn, because what's Forewarn going to do for me? It's going to give me their cell phone number if I don't have it. It may give me an address or two. It may give me something that makes me not want to meet them in a coffee shop for the first time. No, I'm kidding. With Forewarn and with LinkedIn, with no lights. Forewarn and LinkedIn both. LinkedIn is easy. LinkedIn is easy because if you know their name, they most likely are on LinkedIn at this point. And LinkedIn is coming out with even more stuff that's going to blow your mind. I can't even say some of it. So it's not that I'm on the cutting edge of everything. I just know a few good people that work at a few good places. And so Forewarn, I actually don't know too much about that company other than the basics. So I don't know what they're going to come out with next. I wish they'd come out with some integrations with CRMs. I don't think they will because of the security issues. They're going to make you go in person by person. There's no way to upload. Everybody always asks me that. No, can't do that. It is a person by person thing. So what does that take? Time. So that goes into time management. And they would run out the door then. Emily Watkins. And oh wait, there's one more. Accountability. And I'm not saying that I don't believe you. But sometimes I don't believe myself when I say I am going to do, or I did this. Did you? How are you spending your time? How many guys have an iPhone in here? Almost everybody. No offense to the green dots. But there's one app that if I could control this company that developed that app, I'd beg them to do it. Maybe in the last couple of weeks they have. There's an app called Lifecycle. There's an app called Lifecycle. And what Lifecycle does is it's on your phone and it just kind of takes a note of where you're at. So it is just like a scribe, kind of like you guys have seen the autopilot. I think at least one person is on right now with the autopilot where it's taking notes. It's taking tabs on where you are. It's just for you. It's nobody can be your friend on it. It's just private to you. One of the most fascinating things to figure out, am I driving around all over the world to make my numbers? Because I need every deal I can get, and I haven't really done some of this stuff over here more strategically. Am I spending enough time with family? If I'm building a team out, am I sitting my own open houses anymore? If I am not doing well, am I sitting open houses like I should be? You know, what is that looking like for me? Because I'm one of the biggest habit people in the world. What good habits can you bring into the world and what bad habits can you take out? Life cycle is really key for me to figure out, okay, I am wasting some time. And then in that time management, where are your power hours? So you do not have your power hours time box. I don't like the word time block. Just like that's just a negative connotation to me, because I literally time boxing, there are boxes in my schedule that is, you can't get with me at that point. So those power hours, that is the time boxed for what? For daily prospecting. And this is where we absolutely have to have a mindset shift for a lot of people. That is not the time to work in your existing business. That is not the time to work in your existing business. This is the time to get the new business. So when this existing business is done, you already have the next deal in the hopper or 12 deals in the hopper. That's one of the saddest things. Is like oh my gosh, I was so busy with that deal. Now I got nothing. You know how often I hear that?
Hmm.
There's only 2 chairs in a coach's office. Literally at my home office, I have 2 chairs in there for the agents to come by and coach me at my house. And we can do it in any office, we can do it at my house. Chair 1, I don't have enough business. Chair 2, I have the blessing of too much business and I need to build or grow my team. That's the amazing chair to be in. Not a lot of people are in it. It's the Pareto principle, 90%. They say 80-20, it's the 90-10 rule. It's the 90-10 rule. So power hours are really the difference between the people that are going from deal to deal and are really struggling and the people that are actually out there winning it, building out a team, getting multiple income streams from real estate. The blessing of real estate is if we do this right, we see the properties before anybody else does, don't we? We have the tools to do the AVMs. Part of our December 20th training is I'm going to show you a couple new tools for AVM and then also ARV. And also AI is going to be involved with both of that. So there's a new tool out. I just signed the paperwork and paid the first payment on it. On our website, all our listings will have a little widget that you can then go like reimagine the cabinets and you can reimagine the exterior. It's an AI thing because I'm like, I have box brownie and I'm always playing in there with the little stuff that you're like, oh, you know, what if this wall looked this different color? What if the kitchen was redone? But I don't have the vision. And also most of the consumers don't. But that's the type of stuff that, okay, if I can bring something new to the table and you guys can go spread that stuff out, but all of that takes what? Time to get the messaging out. So if you guys are gonna kind of stick with this, here's what I can offer you. There will always be something to talk about. I will take that out of your equation because there's always gonna be leveraged events. There's always going to be something else going on to do what? Have that tailored UBP, have that AOI, the art of inviting. So all you've got to do is really, at this point, box the time to actually be able to get the messaging out. So let's go day by day with this for a second. So Monday, well, Monday used to be, in the core coaching, it was VIPs. But it can't just be the VIPs anymore. It's also got to be VIPs plus one aspect of habit mass, one aspect of HMs. Tuesday, that's going to be when you are trying to get better referrals from people. So Tuesday is going to be that day of, it's in your existing business, but it's asking for new business. Like it's kind of like vendor day. Like how are the vendors treating you? How's the transaction going for you? Anything else I can do for you? So that is Tuesday, really that transaction A++, because we're going to go for better reviews. We're going to go for more referrals, but that is not when you are fixing that actual stuff. If they report a fire to you, that's going to be something you're going to deal with later in the day. That is your time to build up that. And guess what? If you don't have any transactions right now, what are you going to do? You're going to go to your HMs anyway. Every day has to have an aspect of going deeper, an aspect of going wider. What's Wednesdays? Wednesday is lead day. Wednesday is lead day. Hot leads, old leads, leads. There are always leads somewhere. And that means, you know, are you on an E team? Are you going to go in back and like kind of push people? Because what I'd like you to do on Wednesday is get your weekend scheduled. Get your weekend scheduled. Open houses. You're going to figure out any tours. Wouldn't that be a lot less stressful if all that was figured out on Wednesday? And how are you going to figure that out? Leads. Because you're going to talk to the people that are going out with you, are meeting with you, or should be, right? That's Wednesday. And then obviously, if there's not a lot of that, HMs, have a mess. Thursday. What's Thursday? Thursday is your past clients, right? Well, what if you don't have any past clients? This is the problem I really started to have with core, was I was like, if our business is contracting and we're clapping ourselves on our back for what we're doing in 2020 and 2021, well, we can't just talk to past clients. We still have to talk to habit mets at the same time. But your past clients are such a great source of referrals, habit mets, places, people like that. And then Friday is where we're going to try to build more what? VIPs. We're going to build more VIPs. So that's the goal out of that. So that is business owners, community events. That is really building up, figuring out what I would call channel accounts. What are channel accounts? Channel accounts are the people that know a lot of people, that have a huge database of their own people. They're in front of a lot of people. So like who? Your dentist, your doctor, what'd you say? Insurance agent, financial planner, accountant. So that's something you need. All of those different people. I mean, I have feeder cells, I call them. Literally, I got people out there. The guy that used to sell me my cars back when I was, doing the old Jaguars and stuff like that. That guy always sends me business. He bought his warehouse through me, even though it was like questionable if I knew what I was doing with him on that stuff. Friday is channel accounts. Who could be someone that becomes your next channel account? Who could be somebody that could become your next channel account? And also, that is really the day for any farming. Because what does farming bring you? The HMs, the have mess. And so when we look at all that, it's like, okay, well, then the weekend is the actual servicing of the deals. The weekend is actually the servicing of the clients. And if you have a team, what could you do? I call it Freedom Fridays. You could actually take the rest of the time off. If you've got a team around you that you've built up. So that though, doesn't that give you a roadmap? That gives you a roadmap.
On Friday, it's business.
Business builders, so business owners, so business people that are in business. Because again, who else is also trying to build a database, get referrals, provide good customer service? Business owners, or they should be, or they should be.
The second one says.
Community, like community, like what's going on in the community? Is there the alderman's office? Well, what do they have? People going in and out of that space all day. Community organizers. They're around people all day. Jamal Green, anybody know Jamal Green from our office? Yep, Jamal Green ran for mayor, built up an amazing community organization even way before then. He has a base of raving fans that really want to be homeowners. So he's already got that community built up. A lot of people do not have that community built up. Are you going to the gym every day, but you never even introduce yourself to the people at the front desk? Do you say hi to the people at Starbucks, or do you actually get to know them a little bit? One of my first decent deals in River North was the barista at Starbucks. Because I'd been going there so long. This was back when I drank a lot of coffee. Been going there so long, I knew her name. I knew that she was getting engaged. She ended up getting married. They ended up getting their first place in River North. It was quite nice. She stopped being a barista, started a family, and everything was great. One of my first deals in River North, just because I said hi to her. So business, it doesn't have to necessarily be the owner. Who's in front of a lot of people? Is that the person at the front? What do they call that? Front of the house? Front of the house? Yeah, front of house. So who's at the front of the house? Okay, so we've got all this stuff. I want to take a break so that you guys can grab your pizza, and then we'll come right back in here and we'll keep going if you guys are good with that. Because we're actually going to dive into the actual little workbook in front of you. So guys at home, we're going to pause the recording, but we are just going to keep the broadcast going. By the way, if you guys are Zoom users, well, I've finally figured out, like, if you stop the recording, you have to piece the two things together again, versus if you pause it, then there's a nice, like, it's all in one MP4. I'm still learning how to do some of that stuff. All right, so I want to go back into this sourcing every deal situation for a second. We don't have time in here to do this as an exercise. However, I will give you as an option. We can do this as a group next Friday if you guys want to come back and do this again. Because what I'll do is I'll go ahead and just do mine from this year, or at least through December 1st. And so I can, well, wait, by next Friday, December 7th, this is the 1st. Yeah. So I can do that because there's, like Andres and I was talking, there's not 60 deals this year. There's 27 or 29, whatever my number is. But it's a looking at what worked and then figuring out what didn't. If I'm wasting money on something that isn't working for me, I need to turn it off, don't I? Probably most people have already turned that stuff off. However, if I have a lead source that's working for me, if I have a friend that's given me 3 deals, why am I not acknowledging that friend better? If you're on my Instagram, you saw last night, there was a little dinner that I was at. That's my friend Andrea, who I actually used as an example recently. Andrea's given me 2 people this year, one of which they're closing on a nice single family home next week. So they'll be on that list. How did you get your deals? And we need to celebrate the people that helped us, the tools that helped us. And then we need to go way beyond that and say, okay, here's what I didn't do that I need to be doing. So let's talk about what we probably have not done that we need to start doing. And I think you can still see, yes, at home. And I know it's gonna get a little bit hard to see in here. So with these habit Mets, that's where I'm gonna focus really the rest of our time. Because I feel like the Mets we've got covered. We know we need to go back to them. We need to make sure they're all on our LinkedIn. We need to make sure we're acknowledging their birthdays, housing anniversaries, successes in their lives, enriching their lives by the AOIs, the active inviting into our events. And if you're with us, obviously we're already doing those events and you can do your own stuff on top of it. So that is all I feel like we need to talk about with the Mets. It's the habit Mets. This is why I pivoted a little bit from saying, oh, this is a reflection of the core coaching, because as Andres and I were just talking about, that is not sufficient anymore to build your business, because the database we had, as we said, in 2018 and 2019 is not reacting the same way. So those odds of like, what do they say? People move on average every 7 years. I think for the next couple of years, it may be 1 in 10. I think people are really going to hold on. So that database needs to be, I think, I'm saying 2 times what it was before, because for some people, it should be 4 times what it was before. So with the habit Mets, we were just talking about, Shaughnessy and I are talking about her outline. Can I borrow that for a second? For 1 minute, I promise my hands aren't too pizza filled. So if you're with us, you remember these outlines. And what I said was, these are what we used to do as a business plan. I made this up. I literally did this in 2008 because I was so tired of seeing, no offense to Keller Williams, because I was from that company for a while. They had that, I need to do X number of deals at X dollar amount to make X dollars. That's great, but I don't know where my next deal is going to come from. And I have people that call me that want to rent that studio apartment or want that $100,000 condo. And I got people that want the $2 million single family home that they just made partner at their firm. I don't know where that next call is going to come from. And yes, I can try to target market to people, but I'm going to take every call because every relationship is what I'm really after. I'm a relationship person. So that is, you can strategically try to grow that database, but I grow with my relationships as much. And that's something that, Mary, Jolynn, myself, Shaheen can tell you from being in the business a long time. The smart money is the long-term relationships, because people are going to need you as they grow in their lives, as things happen in their lives, they grow businesses in their lives. Some of the commercial deals I've done have been my friends that, I have a friend that I remember when he was in dental school, he's now got 10 practices. Do you think that's in my VIP list? Heck yeah. So, okay, so let's get into this. This piece that we did, these outlines, were the reflection mostly of how the who, what, when, where, why of these habit Mets. And so the only reason why we got away from using this outline, if you're at home and you loved your outline, Shaughnessy was the smartest person in the room. She had it put up on her desk, so she had to see it all the time. It was the screensaver on my phone until COVID. I can't remember what replaced it for a while. But the thing is with this, I want us to go into these digital business plans to get us to the point that maybe it goes into the outline. So I said to Shaughnessy, you can keep this outline, or you can create a new outline that's still going to be your who, what, when, where, why on these habit Mets. But I want you to go into that long form business plan to say, where do I want to be in 5 years? What else? It's kind of like a drawn out 24-page vision board. Where the heck do I want to go? Where the heck do I want to go with this? Because sometimes this is pretty brutal. To sit there and stare at this in a down market, when sometimes some of this stuff isn't working as well anymore, it can get pretty bleak. So yes, this is great, and you can absolutely still do this, and I'd actually probably encourage it, but that this big one gets you to the point of expansion. Otherwise, a lot of us, what we did the last 2 or 3 years, because I start business planning with our agents in when? September, because I'm like, you got to start, we are late right now. We are actually late. You have 30 days to implement what you're going to pop out in the next, 24 hours. That's a quick turnaround, because in reality, that work probably won't hit you till March. That won't work hit you till March. So that's, this is catch up for a lot of people, but it is what it is. So if you want to get it down to this, I would applaud you for doing that. So let's make some potential things that could go on that outline right now. So the next thing I want to talk about with these habit Mets, let's give you some things that I think we should be doing. So this is going to be, we call this the A on number 2. Then B is going to be the actual techniques for these haven't met. So what are these haven't met, or HM, not H and M, HM strategies? Some will cost a little money, some will not. So B1, just sold cards. I know for a fact, because the vendor that I use and recommend, that I've told all our agents to use because it's the best one for technology, an actual response rate, they're like, did we do something wrong? Because they thought that I told them to use someone else because our orders are down so much. You know, when you're used to a budget from 2021 and now it's 2023 and your business is where it is, what's the first thing to go? And it's, I'm not criticizing the marketing. I'm not spending money on blank. I gotta be honest with you, I don't think farming needs to be a massive campaign by direct mail anymore. I think we need to focus first and foremost on just sold cards, and that is for buyer and seller transactions. Do you know why that is now so smart? Because no one else is doing it. I'm in Lakeview, I think most of you guys know that. In a zip code and a demographic area that people seem to want to target. Every realtor says they want to do, I want to do the single family. I don't live in a single family McMansion, but I live down the block from them. I've sold several of them. Everybody wants to be in that zip code. So for a while, I'd open up my mailbox and like, blah, everybody, you know, that had an ad campaign running. I'm like, did I do something wrong? You know, I'm asking the same thing that the vendor was asking, like, why am I off everybody's list? I asked my neighbor who's got a bigger place than mine. I'm like, you getting any of those, like, you know, I just sold a home in your neighborhood, or here's all the, she said, I haven't got one of those in like 9 months. People stop spending money. Targeted smart money is on just sold. I did something. Oh, and here's all the other prices in the area. Here's a little tool for you. But then when you do that, here's what else you've got to do. You've got to then create what? A relationship with them. And we're not, you know, spray and pray. Spray and pray used to be like, oh, I'm just going to send this stuff out. Now it's even like, if you're even going to do a targeted campaign, why are you doing it just once? You've got their information, go back and build a relationship. And so that's going to be doing what? LinkedIn. That's going to be getting them on your LinkedIn. That's going to be trying to find what? An email address, a cell number, really trying to build that relationship up so you've got more information, because I'm not just slamming them with, hey, I'm a great realtor. We're going back to what? The art of inviting, the act of inviting people to stuff. So just sold cards are a great baseline for that. Are you going to do Remind farming? And yes, I am aware, for those of you that have been around a long time, that Realist is back. I don't care. The people that loved Realist, I feel like I missed the boat on that, because by the time I learned how to farm, we had Remind and Realist. You know, there is some things in Realist that are great, and I'm going to do my research and see what's new. But the Remind farming, the way I've taught you guys how to do that, that is $0.00. $0.00. But again, the same thing. Are you just blasting them with stuff? Are you going back in and doing LinkedIn, email, cell number, same thing as above? I don't just want people sitting in that database that I've touched once. This is an over and over and over. I'm building a relationship up with them. Okay, here's another big one that is $3.99, my favorite price. Open houses. And my best favorite thing is when I get, every weekend this happens, because I do an open house almost every weekend. Yes, at 25 years in the business and $20+ million in production, I do an open house. Do you know why? Shows that I'm still doing the work. And I've used this as an example for years. So sorry if you've heard this story before. It's 2 stories in one. I have a man on LinkedIn that I at some point had added him, or he'd added me many, many years ago. Not someone that was even in my actual database. He reached out on LinkedIn to me and he said, I follow you on LinkedIn and I see you doing open houses. I just wanted to get on your calendar and get an appointment with you because I've already fired my agent. I want to work with you. It was my last sale of 2020. It was my biggest sale of 2020. And that was because he saw me doing open houses. I can't get my agent to do open houses and his team never calls me back. And it was a great agent, according to the numbers. What does that tell me? Open houses, still work. Is it going to sell the house? Probably not. We know that. But a smart open house, what do? I do an hour. Power hour. And everybody always at first, my seller's like, was that long enough time? I'm like, yes, because I planned this on Wednesday. People have seen that hour for 3 days, 4 days. They can either get there, and if not, they'll schedule an appointment. It messes with the algorithm on your listings. It makes it go higher. All of a sudden it's got a blue bar or a yellow bar or something on it because it's an open house and it's been sitting there like that for days. Open houses are huge if you work the neighborhood. How would I work the neighborhood? Oh, I'm glad you asked. I would go back up to Remind Farming. I just listed. I have an open house. I have a price reduction. Now this is under contract. Would you also like evaluation on your home? All of that leads into what content would I be sending all of these folks once I got this information? I'm gonna be using RPR content, because if I'm sitting in open house, I hate that word. Sitting in open house, I should have just stayed home. If I am conducting and hosting a powerful open house for an hour, I have RPR there for them. If you're with us, you've got the technology, the codes that have all the PDF capabilities in them, already all built right in. You use RPR content because it's the best content out there. You didn't have to do a thing. You didn't have to talk to Amanda, our graphic designer. You didn't have to make a video. It's all right there. RPR content. So if you're not using RPR, I'm happy to do a class on RPR. It will not be a public class because, quite frankly, I can't believe that other coaches are not getting certified as an RPR trainer. So RPR is great content for these folks. So far I haven't asked you to spend a lot of money. I'm going to put the word E-team here, and that's going to mean different things to different people. But, and this is where I'm going to use a term that actually there's someone that's tried to steal it from me recently. I'm quite bitter about it. Lead aggregators. I came up with that term, and I'm like, I don't even know if that's right, but eventually someone must be right because now someone's trying to steal it. Lead aggregators are the portals. Lead aggregators are the portals. And so I'm going to tread lightly here. Aggregators. And say, yes, you can spend money with Zillow. I actually don't have a problem with it. If you are doing what? Sourcing every deal, and I can see that you are successful in online leads. If you are not successful in online leads, why are you playing in the portals? And why are you playing in your pocketbook? Drives me nuts. I spent a lot of money for a lot of years as an agent on Zillow, on realtor.com. And what happened to me was I realized that the minute a friend called, I wouldn't even be playing with those strangers. I didn't want to talk to them. I would talk to them when I got a chance. Guess when I got a chance? You know, I'd reach out once. That haven't met, you need to build a relationship with them. And so these lead aggregators, try out an E-team that doesn't cost you any money. If you're with us, you know what those sources are. And see if you start winning with them. I don't know if Karen Mika is on today. I don't actually, I know for a fact she's got something going on. Karen Mika lived off the lead aggregators, lived off them, and now has built a very powerful 6-figure business. She's the type of person I'd say, okay, you know that you can do this. You know that that's probably a wise investment. I would only spend money if you're going to spend money on Zillow, realtor.com, or homes.com. If they are not on those 3 portals, they are probably scam people. And not that the people are bad, but the lead source that is trying to sell you on a 6-month or year contract. Who are these people? Oh, you put up a digital ad and now you're trying to sell this lead to me for 100 times what it cost. Go on and you do your own digital ad. All of us at our office have the Exit Facebook ad, the Exit Ad Center. Some CRMs have a version of it as well. You guys can go out there and do Google pay-per-click and save the money that these online vendors are trying to resell you the lead. I don't like that. If it didn't come from those 3 main portals, I'm not spending $1 on it. So if you're spending money with them though, you've got to treat those leads like gold because you paid gold for them. Because here's what I also know. I have friends at Zillow. This is another reason why this will never be a public video. I have friends very high up at Zillow. I'm not saying that to brag. I was with them when they were broke and they were like literally doing stuff like trying to sell the zip codes and you know that they were in the low end of the low hanging fruit at Zillow. As they've grown with Zillow, some of them and I have great relationships where we talk about like the pricing, and they have been doing very well. Do you know why? Because their pricing hasn't gone down, but yet the number of leads from them has gone dramatically down, right? So they're making a killing off us. So if you're not doing well with the free E-team leads, or if you're like a Redfin partner agent and, oh, those leads are crap. No, they're not. No, they're not. I always did real well with Redfin. real well with the other lead sources that are out there. So I knew if I spent money and then respected these haven't mets, respected them. And so with those folks, that is you have to build that relationship. So that's gonna, again, go back to all of the stuff we were doing before with this LinkedIn email, cell phone number stuff, but also then just in general, treating them like a relationship. So I'm gonna put relationship. The reason why. So red light, yellow light, green light, that's my what do I want to do with these folks? If you are so hardcore just about, as a stranger to them, just about do you want to see this? Do you want to see this property? Do you want to see that property? It's like you forgot to build a relationship. There's an agent that is not with us that I am friends with outside of real estate, but they are not bright in one aspect. They have a really nice credit card. They plop that credit card down. They pay for Zillow leads. They are the most transactional agent I have ever met in my life. They not only think I'm a fool for doing open houses, they think I'm an absolute fool for the little client appreciation things that I do. Why would you spend money on that? Well, guess what? It doesn't cost me very much when I say free Barry's boot camp class for anybody that wants to come. And you know that not many people want to go to that junk. It's like, oh, I don't want to go sweat. Good, because it was $25 for your seat. But it was the act of inviting you to it. And so I treat all my leads, I don't necessarily invite them to all that stuff, but there's a way to say, okay, do you want to do an online book club? What did I just give you guys at our office? I gave you a book that you can literally pass on to other people, right? Don't advertise that. I don't know what copyright I may have broken, but you have the tools to go out there and start building relationships. Because if you're not going into these 4 focus areas, it's a very cold conversation. Now, maybe that's the hot lead that truly does just, they got to buy tomorrow. Okay, that's why they were on that portal. They want service now. Great. The rest of them take time. 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, it's all the gamut. But if I'm saying I don't want any of this stuff, then I'm relying on this group of not as motivated people to do anything and to refer me, they're not that motivated friends. So we were talking by the pizza about the blessing of this market. The blessing of this market is you have the time, maybe not all the money in the world, but you have the time to map this out and to get the structures in place. So when the spigot gets turned, that your systems are in place. The greatest disservice you can do is get woe is me and be in the muck right now. If you are in the muck right now and you're saying the market will get better, but I'm just so down, I understand some people even, there's been a lot of the online groups, which I find them sometimes really they're now depressing. Some of those Facebook groups where it's like, I need to get a job. And and I get it. There were some times that I probably should have gotten a job, a side hustle, or like a whole new hustle, and did real estate on the side. I can understand that, but no matter whether you're full-time, part-time, starving, or doing great, something has to change in our business so that we are prepared for the great times again. Because what real estate's like everything else, it's all going to go up and down. It always does. And the agents that did what I did in 2009, 10, and 11, build that infrastructure out. I'm teaching you what I built the last time that I was slow. And that now that we're all in this pause, this moment of okay, I've got a little breathing room here. I need to build this up because this is not rocket science. The CRM you use is the best CRM out there. I will tell you that ours, I love Wise Agent because it can build with you. Your phone is also a CRM. Your phone is in reality a CRM. Everybody's phone, I have not seen even my mom got rid of her flip phone. Nobody's got burner phones except people that are doing something else. We've all got a smartphone. Everybody does. But are you being dumb in the way you use it? When I have a event that I go to or dinner that I go to, I'm taking that phone out and I'm getting everybody's information in that room. Everybody's information. I sat there last night and I went to my friend Andreas and I'm like, I didn't have her unit number on here. I needed that unit number in my phone. So it syncs up to my Wise Agent and then I can send her some better stuff. I'm always that phone is a sponge of information. I'm always trying to add to that. So let's go back into this. I'm not asking you to spend too much money. You've got to evaluate that one. That's not a lot, is there? That's really not a lot to say, hey, do I want to do a little bit more? There's 8,000 different ways you can spend money. There is a lot of ways you can do stuff for free. Another big one. And I'm gonna say this, like activities, community. I don't want you to just do it to be transactional, because that's obvious. But community involvement. When was the last time, not that you wrote a check, but that you actually went and you helped a food pantry stuff the bags? When was the last time you asked people to drop things off? Or you remember at the beginning of the pandemic when I'm like, hey guys, I'm gonna go out with that red pickup truck, and I drove all around and I picked up all the bags and stuff. That was a really cool moment because it got me back involved and out with people. It was an active inviting, but for service. So community involvement and service. You're meeting people, you're doing a little bit of good, and 99% of the time, it doesn't cost you anything, because I'm not asking you to go write a check. And here's what I know from being involved in these community organizations: they are hurting for people, because a lot of people are in their little Zoom bubble. They don't want to go back out. They've lost touch with the charity. They are out of money, so they just feel like the charity is only out for their money, when in reality, if you ask and say, you know, I'm not looking to write a check right now, but I want to help. How can I help? You might be mopping the floors at the pet salon, you know, at the SPCA. But you know what? You met some new people. And some of those people are people, you know, every relationship, it shouldn't have a dollar amount attached to it, but I don't know who's in there. And again, if I'm nice to the lady that's handing me my coffee, maybe she'll buy a condo in River North someday. You know, I don't know where my next relationship is going to come from. And one of my best relationships came out of a community service event 20 years ago. And that person for a long time, my friend TJ, I'd say, and TJ's never going to buy a house. And TJ's literally very flighty because he's a flight attendant. And he's just like, but he knows a lot of people. And he always sent everybody my way. TJ now is a homeowner. He actually got his real estate license in Denver and works at EXIT in Denver. So that was a relationship that came out of literally the Lakeview Food Pantry before it changed its name. It was 20 years ago, though. So what can you do in your community? And then obviously, like if you're, you know, school alumni, kind of going back to that kind of stuff, what did you used to do or what should you have done? So that is going to be your extracurriculars. You know, church, gym, fitness stuff, all that kind of stuff, extracurriculars, alumni associations, kids' school. I'm just going to put school. But don't just go. Don't just go to the happy hour to drink, because that I wrote a book about that in my, it's called My 20s. That doesn't work. Actually going there with your phone out, not to sell people a house, but to build relationships. So the phone is a sponge of information. I'm not going to go just sit. So all of these are kind of your lucky 7. So I used to tell everybody, you have 5 to 7 things that I want you to put down on that outline. You know, that's great. But here they are. Here they are. Now you can do whatever you want. But I think if you truly passionately do these 7, your lucky 7. I'm not asking you to buy billboards. I've done that. Bus benches, I did that. They were really mean on those buses. Not nice things that. Not at all. These, I'm just thinking about some of them. I wonder what they do today with that. This is your lucky 7. And if you can do all 7 of these, and here's what we're going to go into last. If you can build in time management, if you're with us, what do we do every Tuesday? Accountability. You have one big thing for the week. What's that one big thing for the week? Time management, do the power hours, and just be in a mastermind of people. Because here's what I'm going to focus on the whole year, is right here and right here. So if you're not with us and you want to go run back to wherever you're from and say, this is what he said, that little weird orange man, this is going to be our business plan as an office, because there's a broker digital business plan that I also helped with for the brokers. This is where we're going to be, the 2 Bs. That's our business plan. So this is where your educational stuff, and obviously all of you, you know, can always tell me what you need in the coming year, because I'm sure there'll be a new technology, a website will go away, something else will come out, but these are your items. And I'll give you a little bonus on this stuff over here. In your tailored UVP, really all the people that are in your database should have access to our tools, should have access to our tools. And so those tools, we've got the lifetime concierge, which really felt like the move concierge. There is amazing things that have been happening with that I have not told you yet because I've been so focused on the business plans. That's going to be a great reach back out to people. So your unique value proposition with us. So the UVP, the tools of the UVP, that's going to become some of your monthly touches to people. And that's where you're going to do what? The newsletter is a baseline. You're going to be doing your texting. And the reason why you're going to be doing the texting, we know everybody's email inbox seems to be a mess. And we know also that even if there's a video in that email, it's a lot better. Hi, Mary. It's a lot better than it was before. But I want you to start using your texting because I'm in these study groups. Did anybody read about, I really cannot, this video actually may not even go on YouTube at this point, it's private. Did anybody read about that McDonald's is coming out with a new secret thing?
Comac or Cosmac.
That you're close. I can't tell you, but my friend Kieran can tell you. And Kieran is the mastermind behind that entire thing. So did I post from Bolingbrook yesterday? I may or may not have been at the facility. They said their entire marketing campaign, besides TV, which I don't think anybody in here wants to spend any money on TV, is going to be based on texting.
Wow.
All the follow-up, everything else like that, they're going to go by text because they said nobody wants to even give their email address. Think about even at a cafe or a McDonald's, nobody wants to give their email address out. Oh, another email, or they'll give a burner email account. They're going to give them little discounts. They're going to trick them into giving their phone number, and then they've got them. And then what they're going to do, because Kieran's like, what is forewarned? Because one of my best friends, Kieran, he and I do a lot of these whiteboard things together. And McDonald's has paid for his undergrad, his law school, his MBA. Like he's going to be in the C-suite someday. This is his test. Mm-hmm. And he's like, what's that? Because they're trying to figure out how to get all the rest of the data. We have that tool and we're not using it. So if we can get their information, and why would they want to give it to us? We've got cool stuff coming for them. Not so I can send you my monthly newsletter. It's like, hey, I've got some events coming up. I've got some cool stuff coming up. And so my job in the coming year, educate you, keep the tools coming out to you, keep the events coming. And that's our business plan. So, all right, guys, I'm going to very quickly give you a 5-second overview of this. Now, if you are not with us, Kelly, I think you've got the digital business plan you can send to them. It's editable in a Adobe Acrobat reader. So this is from EXIT, but anybody can use it. And it's going to get you to the point eventually of having just that outline, hopefully. But let me get into this here. By the way, while I'm doing that, does anybody have any questions?
How do you get this stuff all on top of your head?
It's burned into my brain at this point. It is burned into my brain because it's
pretty impressive.
It is burned into my brain. What someday I'd love to do is like have this stuff that we've written on these boards actually be like redone and like put up as so you can like walk through and see them again and again. I don't know when that day will be, but that also this could be, really the roadmap for your 5-year plan, your 10-year plan, because what we didn't talk today at all about is like, are you trying to build a team? How do you scale this up? That could be a whole nother class for everybody that's capping with us. How are you going to scale that up? Reggie Peterson and I are working on a scaling up plan for his group. And a lot of the stuff on here, eventually you can have assistants doing and working on for you. But right now, I think everybody needs to, you got to master it yourself. I have not had an assistant or a team member or a showing agent since March. And, at the end of the day, well, no, I think it's I'm gonna unretire that idea. But I needed, why? Because I needed, number one, I wanted the money, to be quite frank, But number two, I hadn't been working in dot loop in a long time. And I'm like, there's some stuff I want to change in here. There's some stuff that I want to do differently. I created new scripts so that when, my client, now I have a script that says, okay, you're about ready to write an offer. I need to know these 6 things. Boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, because I delegated out so much that stuff had changed. Take something back for a weekend, like your open house, and you'll be like, they're not doing it right. Are you writing down your standards of practice? Your standards of practice. So this stuff up here, if we get good with it, you'll have a standard of practice. So in your Exit Resource Center, and again, if you're not here, don't worry about it because we can send one to you. Under the My Office tab, I have it right sitting in there. There is your 2024 Agent Business Plan. And once you download that, and you've got Adobe Acrobat Reader, it becomes a fillable form. I realize there are different styles out there. If you want to print it out and you want to write it out, absolutely do it. If you want to do it digitally and keep it there, do it. If you want to write it out and then type it up, I'd really love that. But what I need from every single person, and I am aware that you guys are begging me to know details about the holiday party. I have some news. Whatever that event is going to be, you're going to have to turn in a business plan to get the invite. Because I can't imagine facing you, especially if we've had a couple drinks, and not knowing what you want to do for the coming year. This could get toxic this year, guys, because here's the thing. It is doing a disservice to you to sit there and let it fester. It's like when we were not using Wise Agent to its max, AKA we still had the other easy to use little dum-dum one. I was creating a crutch. And it's like the longer you put this off, this should have been done 2 months ago. This should have been done 2 months ago. When am I going to let it end? So I don't ever like to separate people. I think you need to get your business plan done and turned in. And if it's on a napkin, I'm going to be okay with it. As long as that napkin can eventually be typed up and better. Because it's going to be in my Wise Agent under your name. So that when I go in and we coach and I do those notes on the coaching session, then I text you the notes and the action items, your business plan is right in there. So even if you lose it, I didn't. And it's not in 8,000 emails. So that is the expectation. So let's real quick look at it. We're going to spend about 4 minutes on it. And then you got to actually fill it out. So again, if you open it up in a preview or in anything like that, it does not fill out the way it should. You have to open it up in Acrobat Reader. And once you open it up in Acrobat Reader, and again, I'm scrolling through the stuff that I don't really care about, then you're going to be able to check these boxes off. And then they're going to be able to save. And you can see where it's saying edited. So it knows now that I've edited. Because here's what we've been doing. I'm going to give us a pat on the back and say that, I don't feel like most companies focus on the business plans. I obsess over them because if you don't have a plan, I don't know how I can help you. And you don't know what you're supposed to be doing. The second worst thing that can happen is you put the plan together and we never talk about it again. And so if you don't have the plan together, you can't look back at it in January because you didn't do it now. And if your plan is just that outline from before, I typed that outline up. That was my business plan. I always share my business plan. But then we were just literally changing a couple words and saying, here it is. They changed. A lot of people just changed the date. They said, I want to do that again. I want you to go through this exercise, even if you think that's going to be the same outline at the end out of it, and say, where am I happy and where am I not? And by the way, I know this year there's going to be a lot of unsatisfieds in a lot of places. The one thing this year that I did right was I said, if I'm going to be this slow, I'm going to get my health in order. I'm going to stop doing a couple things and I'm going to start doing a couple things again. And I'm like, it was the most shocking turnaround. I'm like, this is 45, what I wanted to be at 30. My 5-year vision though, what is my 5-year vision going to look like? Do I want to be running around doing all my own open houses? Maybe once a month for a stunt. But do I want to have 2 6-figure income streams or do I want to have 4? Because you guys have heard me talk about, I mastered the first one. Then I got into the residuals and did the sponsoring, mastered that one. Haven't had anything less than 2 6-figure incomes for over a decade. Ask your coach for their 1099 if they're telling you they're doing something, because that is, I'm very serious about that. With me though, My next frontier, getting back into the rental properties, maybe a flip here or there, but I can't do that without a team around me. I can't be doing that if I'm running around doing everything. What do you want to do in the next 5 years that's going to take you a couple years to get there? But if we don't have any transactions, the rest of it's real hard to be healthy when you're broke, but it's also real hard to be rich when you're sick. So these are hand in hand, and that's why this is also valuable for everybody else. Part of my accountability group is not you guys, no offense. It's Brent, it's my friend Taylor, it's my friend Kieran. I've built a little mastermind, or what I call my kitchen cabinet, outside of the office. I see what you do with your, your friends, that's, I see what we have and where that can grow. But if you're not filling this stuff out, it's really like, why am I trying so hard? What is my end game? And how am I going to grow from my experiences this year? Pluses and minuses, growth opportunities. The one thing that I've had people say is, well, I don't know my final numbers yet. It's December 1st. What is going to come? Who has all the cash that's going to change your numbers that much by the end of the month? Do this today. Get this done today. I will do it with you next Friday. I will source every single deal. And that, by the way, guys at home, that will not be a video. It can be cast to you. But because I'm going to run through people's actual names, I can't be going, and that's my friend that from my drinking days, or that person sent me 3 referrals. I don't want that out there in the public. That's private information. We will put it in the coaching blog. But I'd like to do that exercise with you, just so you know how I did what I did this year. Because while I sat down the first half of the year, I had to catch up to my own stuff and really go the second half of the year, well, this is unacceptable to me. Who wants to coach with me with these numbers? These are terrible. I mean, I turned it around real quick because there was no other option. For most of us, that is, I mean, who's got that trust fund that none of us seem to have? Like, we don't have that. And I like that. I like that hustle mentality, because we always are needing to be great. But sometimes you got to give yourself some grace and say, okay, that was not great. Some other stuff were going on, and now let's get back to great. And you can do it better in a group. So taking an inventory of what you took as listings, your contacts, and then it's like, okay, what do I need to do from there? Some personal goals and some other categories. Because again, this year, the first thing that it's the only thing that I got right this year so far was the health stuff. And then the numbers turned around as well. And my numbers are actually up this year over last year now, that's a miracle. But that's, as long as my December does what it's supposed to. That's not going to be everybody. Some people are way, way down. Let's catch it now and let's turn it around. This is the part of the sheet I don't love, but it is just like I made fun of KW earlier. Guess what? That budget sheet is here. It is smart to understand, though, that I know Ursula is not on, because Ursula, she does her own stuff. She's always out in the field. Ursula does so many deals. She will probably close more deals than anybody else in our office, if not the whole company in Illinois. Joshua makes more money than anybody else. And it's like the two of them have totally different business models. It is nice to understand that because Josh is still in the rentals, he works a lot of hours. Because Ursula, it works with a lot of first-time buyers and a lot of investors in areas where the prices are not crazy. She works a lot of hours. Someone else in this room has the blessing of a couple friends that always, like, there's always something that gets pulled out, rabbit out of the hat. I have a friend that is closing on a $2 million property. And last year I had that $3 million Cubs player thing. And that, so my numbers have gone up because of these one random things. The person, some of you guys have heard this story, the person that is doing the $2 million deal, they came to me as a renter, $1,500 a month renter. One of my past clients says, do you do renters? And I said, if it's quick and easy, I said, don't tell him that. And this guy got my car, he's going through divorce. I just need a crash pad in Chicago. Well, the divorce went through while we were looking, and it went in his favor. And here we go. So residual income. Now, if you're with us, you want that residual income. Bring one person. Bring one person. You are a prime example of, you don't have to be here forever. Kelly came here this year. And Kelly has brought a lot of energy and enthusiasm to our company, a lot of knowledge to our company, and a lot of leadership in the industry. And that goes back to this kind of stuff over here. I don't care whether your residual income is from rental properties, it's from residuals or revenue share, if you're in some of these other ones. Just start making a plan. And maybe it's a couple different things, because I got that residual thing down. Now I want to go back in and say, okay, what other passive incomes do I want? And they're going to be real estate related. That's what I know. So what are your plans for that? Breaking down the numbers, I would love to see what your number goals are for next year. The easiest one to do is how much money am I going to make? I don't necessarily love I'm going to sell this number of homes at this price, but it would be nice to have a transaction goal, wouldn't it? It would be nice to have a transaction goal. And these are, again, all fillable. Schedule yourself on some vacations, please. I know you've already got, yeah, you can work remote. You can sponsor remote. And you can be honest with us and yourself. Where were your leads coming from? I would love other people to also share where their leads come from this year. The people that capped, I'm going to ask them to, because we have the 100% true cap. So we had Angela and Adriana processing all their deals. We don't charge them for those after they hit 100%. I think it would be nice if they would turn around and do us a solid and say, okay, I was at 100% or over 100%. Here's where my deals came from. Because then everybody else can say, okay, I'm hearing some commonalities, and maybe I'll get a new idea or two. Challenges I need to solve or improve. Do I not turn on my CRM? Do I not understand my CRM? Do I not have a CRM? Do I have no idea where I'd order postcards? Do I have no inventory to sit open houses? I've always said it with us. When I stopped being the managing broker in 2014, I think I decided to focus on selling a lot of real estate and teaching other people how to do the same. Eve Benton and Zeke, if you're at Cottage Grove, Eve Benton is the designated managing broker over all our offices, though. She's there to help you solve problems. My job, though, is there to create more opportunity for you. But sometimes the opportunity I bring you, like a very advanced, but sometimes difficult to learn on the way in CRM, there's going to be a difficulty even in the opportunity. You know, maybe all your open house opportunities are an hour away from you. Well, how do we work around that? So I always say that Eve's there to help you solve problems. I'm there to help not only bring you opportunities, but figure out what the problems are in those and help you grow into those. So what do you need to work on this year? And you know, there are parts of this you may not turn into me. You may just break it down to the outline, but be honest with yourself. What accountability can you put into place? Who are your accountability partners going to be? Automatically, everybody at Exit has me as their coach. So that's one. You can go to the Tuesday accountability meetings. You can create your own little accountability groups. You know, the Joliet squad, they've got a little bit, they seem to meet sometimes. They've got a text chain that I don't even know about, apparently. Probably filled with memes about me. What can you do? Do you run a team? Are you growing your team? Is your team accountable? Are you accountable to your team? Do you have a kitchen cabinet? Are they doing secret things out in Bolingbrook that we can go eat at in a month? Stay tuned. What is going on with the people around you? What training do you need? What training do you need? What events do you need? So we know what an action plan is. Business skills, that's if you want to do a designation or something like that. Right now, I want you to do this. This is I need to create my own designation, because this is what, you know, you can go specialize. I love designations. I have a lot of alphabet soup behind my name. I believe in designations. But if I'm sitting for 3 days in a class on, you know, like divorce specialty or something like that, but I can't even turn on my CRM to tell my database that I got another alphabet soup behind my name, why am I in that class? So I'm going to be real hard on that stuff. That if you are in AI and you're doing all the cool 18,000 different versions of you in a suit or a dress that you've never been on the moon, but they've got you on the moon, but I can't get you to turn on your CRM on Earth, I'm going to be very upset. So I'm half kidding. And I have to see Marky tomorrow morning for an AI class. So I bet you this word's going to get back to her. Don't tell her. Last but not least, because I threw a fit that they would put it in here, and they did at the last minute. So I won the battle. Your calendar for the year. Yes, it can be your vacations. A lot of it, I want you to figure out, are you going to do your own events on top of mine? Because some of mine will be virtual. Some of mine will be live. I'm going to mix it up a little bit. It's going to be in these focus areas. What can you do to personalize that? One of the, and I know we're done basically, one of the best things you can do is involve your database with your personal life. My database is in on all this kind of stuff. I had a party on Saturday night at my house. I got more business out of that party already. It was like, I got a bunch of new people on my Zen list. And I'm not saying you have to throw a rager. I do client appreciate. I'm like, let me take that back. Procured, targeted, thought out book clubs. Do you want to do a book club? Do you want to do a fitness? Do you want to go run a marathon? Do you want to ride a bike? Do you want to go on a walk? Involve people around you in your service project. Guess what you have to do if you want to come to my holiday party this year? If you're in my little friend group, you have to bring a canned good. You have to bring a canned good. I did that 3 years ago and I had tons of them. And then last year I didn't do it because I was so busy. So community involvement, involve other people around you in your life, and you will be shocked at how you will create some really good relationships because people are really all in and buying into what you're trying to do. All of this is betterment. All of this is betterment, really. One more note on this. You know who would be a valuable partner for you on this? If you can get them to buy in and they're not, so depressed about their business, a mortgage lender. Because you know who's in the same boat? Mortgage lenders. You know who's even more mad than us? The mortgage lenders. At least we got a cash buyer. Well, at least we have a renter once in a while. What are they doing? They're not great. That is, I feel so bad for them, but at the same time, they should be doing all this stuff too. There's a reason why the core was for both real estate agents. I'm looking at it, you and I both know this, both real estate agents and loan officers. When I snuck up to Pontiac, Michigan a few weeks ago, I was with a bunch of people from the real estate and the lending side of stuff. A lot of them core members, former core members, some really high producers. We all kind of agreed to this roadmap. And it's not that I made the roadmap up, but it was, they had a coach on there literally screaming in front of us about 90% of this. And I'm like, I just got to get this memorized in my head, because this is stop making it so complicated. Stop getting distracted. Come back when you do get distracted, or if you get sick. This is it. This is it. We don't need 55 bullet point business plans. We need this. So if you're at home and you're like, oh my God, that thing is overwhelming. It's 20 pages. By next year, it'll be 24 if I have my way. Get through it. Get it down to one page. Get it down to the napkin as long as I can read it. It's maybe better handwriting than this. But just get it into me. So that way we can move on to the actual events and the fun stuff. Any questions? Nobody ran out. All right, guys, thank you very much for being here. This was recorded. It will not be on YouTube. It will be on some sort of MP4 format. And then that way, those of you guys that were guests, absolutely, we can send that to you as well. So then that way you guys can, and honestly, come back next Friday. We'll be here, same time. I do the same every week. I'm in each of our 4 offices for an hour to 2 hour training. So Tuesday's Clark Street, Wednesday's Cottage Grove, Thursday's Joliet, and Friday's Skokie. So Friday's 12 o'clock. I will not have lunch for you next week. So lunch with Liebert was today. All right.